Hi, welcome back to Jumping into Life. I'm Alan Thomas, your host, and I have a very fascinating episode today. As you know, I wrote a book which is entitled Bromance Handbook Minority's Guide to Surviving the Crazy World of Professional Sports. And my guest wrote a book as well. We're going to go into who she is and what her book is about. But before I do that, I promised Amazon that I would do this. When you order my book, I updated it. When you order it, you will get it. It's going to be the new manuscript. But when you look in the preview, they still have a preview of the old manuscript. So order the book, you will get the new book, and I'm working with Amazon trying to get them to correct what's on their peak inside. With that said, let me introduce you to Miss Destiny Price.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
Thank you for agreeing to come on the show. Now, before we start talking about then what, let's talk about the now.
Yes.
Who is Destiny Price? Let's talk about your education background.
Who is Destiny Price? I love that question.
Okay.
So, right now, I'm in the middle of my own transition. I am transitioning into motherhood, which we're really excited about. So having the first grandchild, who will be a grandson, coming from a family of all girls, everyone's excited. So Kingston Anthony Graves is also in the room with us in my belly. You may or may not be able to see him on camera. So if you see me adjust, just know he may be kicking and moving around a little bit. If you get him laughing, he'll move and nudge me a little bit.
Okay.
But I am a very proud Arlington, Texas native. I am a graduate of the University of Texas at Arlington, where I got my undergrad degree in marketing. And I also started working in the sports industry and the athletic department at UTA. Then I went on to work for Texas Rangers, professional golf, before going back to grad school at the #1 program in the world for sports administration at Ohio University.
Is it truly #1, or
It
that's just
literally
your
is. You
opinion?
can look up the stats. No. The stats are there.
Okay.
The
You're not just
ranking-
boasting because you
Nope.
went there. Okay.
It's not a braggadocious thing. It is literally proven stats and facts. The people who graduate from the programs are owners of teams, presidents of teams, working in everything from Super Bowls to all the major collegiate spaces and things of that nature. So definitely check out Ohio U if you're interested in sports industry. And then I am currently a professor at SMU and UNT, where I help the next generation of sports professionals prepare to work in the industry, in addition to owning Transition to Win, a transition firm that helps athletes prepare for what is next. Because every athlete wants to win, and every athlete needs to prepare for what is next.
Have you met any athlete who says, I want to lose?
No. Who wants to lose, right? Who wants to lose in a game or in life? No one wants that.
So why do they do stupid things?
Because we're human. We're imperfect, we're human, and things happen. And sometimes we act before we think. And that's why it's nice to have a transition coach in your corner to like, hey, let's pause, let's evaluate that.
Well, those who are out there who are doing stupid things, in my opinion, you need to contact Miss Destiny Price, and she will give you her contact information after the show, and it will also be in the description of this episode. So, when you said you worked for the Texas Rangers, you weren't working in a capacity in what people would generally see in a concession stand. You see people who like us in a concession stand. You were in the front office. So I don't want people to be like, oh, yeah, she was, selling peanuts or or souvenir bobbleheads.
So
you were the real deal.
It's interesting. So when people think sports industry and African Americans, they're like, okay, athlete or in some type of
Concession stand.
serving role, right? But no, so my experience in the sports industry has spanned over 10 years. I've helped coordinate the last 9 Super Bowls, getting ready for Super Bowl number 10 coming up. So working directly with athletes, working directly with the planning, the logistics, seeing all the things that go on behind the scenes and helping bring that to life, whether that be tournaments, whether that be player appearances, whether that be logistics for VIP clientele, a variety of things. And I've also worked in the NFL space with the Cincinnati Bengals as well.
Okay. Now that you know that she's the real deal and she has street cred to write this book, let's talk about why did you write this book? And it's titled The New Game Plan, a Transitional Guide to Life After Sports.
Yes.
So why write the book?
So the purpose of the book was I cannot and my team cannot reach every single person, every single athlete that's out there. But with something like this, a tool, a resource like this, you can find it, someone else may find it and pass it along to an athlete, or an athlete may find it themselves. And they may not be able to reach myself or my team directly, but they can reap the benefits of, okay, let me prepare for my game plan. I'm used to working in a game plan on the field or on the court. Let me prepare for my life game plan. And here are some resources, some tools in the book to help me with that. There's motivation in there. There are journaling pages for self-reflection. It's bendable, all that. You can throw it in your bag, throw it in your pocket if you want, or you can just leave it at home and work on it from home.
Okay. If I didn't tell you to begin the show, please subscribe and share this podcast, and definitely today's episode. If you have an inspiring child or neighbor or friend who wants to be an athlete or is an athlete, have them contact Destiny Price, please, because I'm tired of seeing brothers and sisters out there messing up. They need a transition coach, and please help these brothers and sisters out when they call you, because I know you will.
I will. Now, I will give you a caveat. There is a warning at the back of the book because my coaching style is to challenge and support. So there's a warning that this book is for people who are really ready to, like, all right, I'm ready for that change. I'm ready for that transition. Let's do it.
So don't come. So basically, what she's saying is, don't come to me and you're not serious about handling your business.
Because I will call you out, but in love. In love.
In love. Okay. So, was it difficult to write this book? Make closer to me, so I can. It was difficult to write this book.
I would not say it was difficult. One, because I have an amazing team. Jada Pollard and Kayla Hunter are amazing. But what was interesting is we did it without being in the same proximity. Jada was in Ohio at the time. Jada was in Milwaukee at the time. Kayla was in Ohio at the time, and I was here in Texas. And so we virtually got online. We were working together weekly, working on the book. It was a 2-year process, but
Wow.
we are very, very glad with the outcome and the response from people who are athletes and non-athletes who have gotten the book and have seen the usefulness in their transition, because everyone has to transition. Right now I'm transitioning into motherhood. Other people are transitioning into, other phases of life, and it helps you prepare and switch your mindset.
So some people they're comfortable with their present state of being, mentally, physically, financially. Mm-hmm. How do you encourage someone to transition beyond their comfort level? Because change is scary.
Change is definitely scary, right? It's uncomfortable. It's the fear of the unknown. All these things come into play when it comes to change. But it's really sitting down with the individual and understanding, okay, what are your goals? What's your purpose in life? What do you aspire to? Because even if they may be complacent or comfortable at the moment, there's still some desire and inspiration in their heart that they may not have felt comfortable sharing with other people. So I create that comfortable space to where they can open up and share, like, hey, this is how I'm feeling. This is what I want to do, but I'm kind of scared to say that out loud because I don't know the resources. I don't know the first step.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to stay in my comfort zone because right here, this is the known. So pulling them out of that and challenging them, and then also supporting them along that challenge, because change is scary.
So I guess it goes to the old saying, sharing is caring. Mm-hmm. Because in order to get the care you need, you first have to share your apprehensiveness to transition. Mm-hmm. What is the most significant portion or section of this book that you believe was something that you wanted to make sure that was clear throughout the book?
That's an interesting question. The most significant portion, of course, is like, it's all significant, right?
Yes.
But the most significant portion is it starts with a decision. And then whatever decision you make, you work to make it the right decision. So it doesn't matter if you decide to go back to school, to become a chef, to start a business, to start a family, whatever decision you make, you take the time, like, okay, this is the route I'm going, and I'm going to work to make it the right decision.
So, how does somebody get the intestinal fortitude? Because change is scary. To make the decision. How do they know what decisions to make? It's a saying, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, you don't know what you don't know, but you know what you have a desire to do. Another exercise that's great in the book is understanding, what do you value? What is your top value? What are your top 3 values, your number 1 value? And then do your values align with your aspirations? Or do you have a value and what you're currently doing, they don't align? So it's like, okay, there's some misalignment there. How do we get you aligned and moving forward and walking in your truth?
So how does someone know what their truth is? Because they don't know what they don't know.
It's self-exploration. And unfortunately, in this like rapid paced society we're in, this social media, like instant gratification, you have to slow down and you have to get quiet with yourself sometimes to understand that, or with someone who can guide you through that if you don't have that fortitude to do it on your own. There are people, including myself and my team, that can guide you through that.
So the book seems to have a mental health component, which this show stresses because there is a need for mental health, and athletes and former athletes in particular, because they don't know how to transition. That's why I asked you to come on the show. So what would you say to someone who, well, I guess transition is part of mental evolution or mental self-identity? Because you mentioned something about identity. You have to identify certain aspects of your life and how to move beyond who you were.
You can't go backwards.
I like that. And you mentioned something about recovery. You can always recover, but you can never go back.
You can always recover, whether it's a mistake, whether it's an injury, you can recover from those things. But there's always going to be that slight difference because now you've overcome an obstacle that you didn't have in your toolbox or wheelhouse before. So now you know what you're capable of. So you have where you can, it can be an advantage, but you can't rely back on like, oh, well, I used to do it this way. I used to do this. They used to say this. They used to cheer my name. Okay, well, no one's cheering right now. What are you doing?
So when you say you can always recover from like an injury or some other things, life experiences are very real, and sometimes they're stigmatized in somebody's mental psyche. How can you help someone get past that mental roadblock because their life experiences is keeping them from recovery, which is very real?
So first, we have to sit down and just have an honest conversation. Okay, what happened? What are you struggling with? What are you battling? And sometimes being vulnerable is the start. But in all societies, vulnerability isn't always seen as strength, even though vulnerability means strength and is the symbol of strength. So it's really getting people to open up, which honestly I haven't had a problem doing because people just get comfortable around me and we build that rapport.
Well, you seem like an introvert.
That's hysterical. But it's getting someone comfortable enough to speak their truth. No matter if it's pretty, if they feel like it's going to be ugly or whatever it is, your truth is your truth. Speak it, and then let's get to the root of, okay, what is it that's making you feel afraid, ashamed, what's making you want to shy away, whatever it is, just getting to the baseline of where are you? And then decide, okay, are there other resources and other people who can help you? Is this a one-stop shop? Like, what are you needing? And how can we build a team of people that can support you on your transition?
So you mentioned your team a lot. Who's on your team and what do they do? Because if I was a former athlete, which I was for about 5 minutes in high school, I got cut and became a water boy.
Hey, everybody needs hydration.
I like that. You are truly good. You are truly good. You have me thinking I could go back in the league or go into a league.
There are senior Olympics. There are tons of things like that. There are a lot of active people.
I may become a senior triathlon. I don't know.
There you go.
So I lost my train of thought.
You're asking about my team.
Yeah. So you have someone who was a former athlete come to you and they're like, oh, well, you have identified this person needs some mental health counseling. This person needs this or that. Who is your team and what does your team consist of? So someone can feel comfortable like I'm going to Destiny and she's going to. Is it inappropriate to say make me whole?
I wouldn't say that. And I don't think I would ever tell someone I'm going to make them. That's not a phrase I would use. I'm going to, and my team is going to help you transition. So your healing, your wholeness, your happiness is on you, right? But there are people and resources that can help you along that journey. So if you're starting with my team and myself, we're the starting point on your journey, but we're not the ending point. If you're needing some additional resources, we will definitely tap into outside resources who may be more skilled on mental health, more skilled on other things that are going to get to those causes.
So how long have you been a transition coach?
Yeah, so 2016 is when it all started for me, 2016.
Okay. And so throughout the 2016 through the present 2024, so that's 8 years. Mm-hmm. That's a significant amount of time in this field, which is desperately needed because I'm tired of seeing knuckleheads.
But it's not only for your term knuckleheads, it's for anyone. Some people are,
let me be nice. Go ahead.
It's a variety, right? Some people are like, okay, I know that my playing career is going to end, or I've gotten injured, or I've gotten cut, and now I need to do something different. I'm stuck on where to go. And then for some, it's like, okay, I made a decision that wasn't the best. What do I do next? So it's a variety of people. So don't just stigmatize them into like knuckleheads. It's a variety of people. We can help a variety.
And no, I'm not going to apologize, Colin. Because you know better, right? You should know better. Well,
everyone's experience is different, and what's right for one person may be wrong for another based on the society they grew up in.
Okay, so let's take, I don't want to stereotype. Okay. I'm not stereotyping. you have quite a few brothers coming from the inner city neighborhoods and professional sports. A lot of them, you hear talk about their journey. I was raised by a strong grandmama. I had my mama was a single mother. She had 5 jobs. She made sure that we had food on the plate. And sometimes she didn't eat. They came from structure. They came from an environment where they knew the rules of the game, which was, you do this and this would be the outcome. You get out of line and this would be the outcome. If it's a black household, you know what I'm talking about there, or maybe not. So that's why I call them knuckleheads, because you know better. You were raised right.
However, I'm just gonna challenge you on that thought.
Go ahead
for
and challenge
second.
me.
So
they still knucklehead.
If your parental figure, your grandmother, your aunt, your mother was out working and you were left to your own devices, then what really was being told to you? What did you see? Who were the successful people? What were they doing?
Okay, that's a good point. I see why you have a DR in front of your name, doctor.
I don't have the doctor yet. So I am the daughter of Dr. Anthony Price. I don't have the doctorate yet.
You got a master's.
I do have a master's.
Okay, so back to the knuckleheads.
Okay.
But at the end of this episode, you may convince me to stop calling them knuckleheads.
Okay, well, that would be a win.
That would be a win. So you got to help me transition. Mm-hmm. So how do you keep me from calling them knuckleheads? Because my position is ingrained, right? Mm-hmm. Ingrained, and you have people who come to you with ingrained perspectives.
It's literally expanding your perspective to see things, because when we're looking at something, like I'm looking here, however, you're looking back here and over here. There's things that you're seeing beyond me that I can't see because I'm facing this way. So as we're expanding our perspective and looking around and seeing things from different people's angles, you may remember something about this room that's behind me that I may remember the ship that's on that painting. But you may not even remember the ship that's on that painting because you're not focused on it.
That's a good point. But then you go back to saying, looking back. I'm not looking back. they're the ones who talking about their experiences. They're the ones look back and say, I was raised this way. And when they speak about that, I'm like, oh, that's how a lot of people should raise their kids.
Should raise their kids.
You picked up on something. I shouldn't have said should.
Because again, every person is different. We have our own unique talents, our struggles, our fears, our experiences who shape who we are. In addition to, if we take away the athletic ability, you're still a human being. And cookie cutter approach doesn't work for everything. What works for you doesn't work for me and vice versa. But if we say, oh, this should work for both of us because we're both African American, but it may not.
So what is the difference between, or is there a difference between transition and evolution, evolving?
I think they're synonymous. They go hand in hand because evolution is inevitable. Just like
Is it?
It is.
Is it?
Evolution, evolve or die, right? Like, think about it. As human society, we have to continue to evolve. Those who get stuck and set in their ways eventually perish away.
Well, I push back, like you said,
Okay. Go for it. Go ahead.
when you said that there was kind of synonymous, transition and evolution, or evolving. I don't think they're the same.
Okay, let's talk about it.
Okay, so
What differences do you notice?
well, you tell me why they're the same, and I would, because you said that evolving, you evolve or you die. What is transition? I don't think transition is you transition or you die, so I don't think they're the same. That's why I said it.
So, okay. So it's not or you die with transition, right? But you literally are constantly making a decision or moving forward what's next for you. So, for instance, you have me on your podcast today, but who's your next guest? You're transitioning to your next guest, to your next studying them or preparing for them. All right, you are doing a podcast today, but maybe it's a TV show in the future. Who knows? Like, you're transitioning to what's next. You're not staying stagnant with where you are.
Okay, so transitioning, I'm still stuck on, because I'm like what's it called, a mad dog.
A dog with a bone. I already picked it up. I got it. Again, I work with a lot of different personalities. I understand. I see where you're going.
What's my personality? Do I need help?
We all need help. That's the thing. Everyone needs help. None of us are perfect. But I see that you're chewing down on this bone, so let's go.
Yeah, I'm chewing down. Yeah, and that bone is when you said evolve or die. And I'm saying, well, that's not transitioning. I'm still stuck on that evolve or die.
Go ahead.
Help me take that bone out my mouth.
All right. So, when you were growing up, were computers and cell phones a thing?
Computers, okay, I'm 60, so you mean growing up at
Were you on a computer every
20-something
day?
in college or like 18?
Let's take it back further.
Okay.
When you were 10, were you on a computer every day?
No.
Okay. When did you start using computer daily?
And college.
Okay. So that's around 18, 19.
You said 1888?
No, I'm saying like 18, 19, 20.
So
like
not 1888.
Age range.
Oh,
Age
18,
range.
okay.
Okay.
I'm old, but I'm not that old.
Okay.
So I started using on a regular basis when I was 18 because we had these big, gigantic desktop computers. And we had
Green
a floppy disk.
screen,
Yeah, and all that.
The dotting going across, all of that.
Yeah.
Now you have an iPad in front of you.
I do.
How often do you get on that daily?
I'm on my phone more so than my iPad.
Okay. So you're on your phone, you have an iPad device, all of those things.
Yes.
But,
I see where you're going.
oh, where am I going? Tell me. Come on. Where am I going?
I'm not going to make it easy for you to take this ball out of my mouth.
But that's the thing, like, for me, it's really, like, helping people see a different perspective. Like, okay, let's use a different analogy.
Okay.
Something that's relevant to you and things like that. So that's really helping people shift their mindset from, like, oh, no, evolution, you don't have to evolve. But the evolution of technology and the evolution of your use of technology and the integration into your life daily has changed over time.
True. I still got the bone in my mouth.
Okay, that's fine. It's not.
Because I'm not dying. I'm not dying if I don't transition.
Okay. So what if you couldn't reach anyone? What if there was an emergency and you needed to call someone? You didn't have 10 cents for the payphone. What do you do?
Well, you went way back. I remember payphones.
You don't have 10 cents for the payphone. You don't have a cell phone. How are you contacting people because there's an emergency?
That's evolving, right? That's not transition. I still think there's a difference. You haven't convinced me that transition and evolution is synonymous.
And that's fine. It's a process. It's not an instant gratification. You're wanting the instant gratification. I'm not an instant gratification giver.
Well, now I know you do. Now, when she says she's going to make you work and put in a hard work, you can see that she's telling the truth and did tell the truth. So how long do you think it's going to take for you to convince me that they're synonymous, transition and evolution? Because I'm stuck on this. How do you, somebody like me who's like, they come in, they're stuck on this one position. I'm not budged from this position. And they have a foundation. They have a very real foundation. Like my foundation is what you said. And I have no reason to doubt. I'm just for the sake of the show and transition and evolution, I'm pushing back a little bit.
Which is totally fine. I'm used to pushback. It doesn't scare me. So if you think like, oh, I don't think she can handle my personality. I've seen a lot of personalities. It doesn't shake me.
So how would you help someone move beyond that thinking? Like you have someone here, it's like, okay, I think transition is different than evolution. I explain why. Because in my opinion, transition doesn't result in death. Evolution, if you don't evolve, you die. That's pretty simple. How do you get somebody over that hump of their thinking, which is ingrained?
So it could be a variety of exercises and like tools and resources that we use. Some are in the book, some are just in my arsenal. It could be conversations. It could be bringing in other people and working in group sessions where other people have a different perspective and they hear it from someone who is a male and they're like, oh, okay. Okay, I'm connecting more. It could be a variety of things. It's not always, oh, destiny needs to change my mind. That's not how I work. It's, okay, you're stuck here. I can recognize that you're stuck here. How do we progress you forward? Whether that be working with a group of people, whether that be working one-on-one, whether that be just giving you time to sit and marinate on it. It's a variety of things and techniques that work.
So can you identify for the audience, for the listeners who purchase your book, and I encourage you to read it. It's a pretty good read, and it does have some great exercises in it. You mentioned some exercises in a book that will move them along. Can you identify some of those exercises?
Yeah, so there is a week-long challenge about coming up with, okay, what is something you want to commit to? It can be something small, it doesn't have to be something large. Commit to for a week and just assess yourself each day, those 7 days of that week. And just ask yourself, did I do it? Yes or no? Some days you're going to be like, I did it. Yes, win. Some days you're going to be like, I didn't do it. Don't get down on yourself. Just keep going to the next day. Then at the end of those 7 days, assess yourself and see, all right, how am I doing with holding myself accountable? How am I doing with being a person of my word? How am I doing with being honest with myself? And what is it that's preventing me from being consistent or being honest with myself? All right, you slipped one day. We're human. Okay, you slipped all the days or 6 days, 5 days. Let's get to the root of that and let's move forward.
Now, you mentioned something about the exercises in here. And in your book, you mentioned something about somebody's being complacent. Can you speak about that? Because you did mention you got to put in the work, and you mentioned the effect of complacency. Can you discuss that?
Yeah, so sometimes we start working.
Let me warn you, it's tough. It's tough love, what you're about to hear.
That's why there's a warning on the back of the book. So sometimes you start working towards a goal, and you're like going, you're seeing some success, and you're like, yeah, all right, I got to the top of this hill, and I'm feeling pretty good. Like, I'm good. Actually, I don't want to go for the mountain. I'm good with the hill. Okay, well, let's talk about that. What about this hill makes you feel good? Is it because it's an accomplishment? Is it because, all right, you were consistent, you achieved it? What is the reason that this hill feels good? Is it because the mountain now looks scary now that you're on the hill? Because it's like, oh, the hill's here, but the mountain's there. Ooh. But I'm higher on the hill than where I was. So let me just chill on the hill. So you have to assess what is it that's making you comfortable or complacent on this hill. And then what's preventing you from getting to the mountain? Is it people are getting in your ear and telling you like, oh, you lost 10 pounds, you're looking good, you might as well start eating now, you don't want to get sick. Oh man, you went back to school, that's hard. How are you doing it? Was it hard? Or was it just a decision you made and you stuck to that commitment? All right, cool. You started school, but are you going to finish? You went back for that degree, but are you going to finish? It's really asking yourself when you're getting comfortable in that checkpoint, if you will, that you made it to. If you're just going to stay at the checkpoint, or are you going to go for the bigger goal?
So it seems like it has to be a constant reinforcement of a goal. You said you have to be faithful. In the book you wrote, you have to be faithful in your plan. Mm-hmm. Can you discuss how being faithful to your plan, what that means, or did you just articulate that?
Well, let's talk about it. So if we're using the context of athletes, which is who this book was written for, most athletes are given a playbook or a game day plan, things like that. So they sleep with their playbook, they study it, they memorize it, they know it. All right, if the defense does this, I'm going to do this. If the offense does this, I'm going to do this. All right, if this person is coming here, then I know I need to adjust. All right, you're preparing and you're focused on, all right, I know if A, then B. So in life, take that same approach. Come up with your game plan, whatever it is. All right, I want to start a juicing company. All right, start the juicing company. Start working with the farmers, the vendors, all those things, and stay committed to that. This is your goal. There's reasons why you set this as your goal, because you see the impact, you see the change, you see all these things. Stay with it. When things get hard, when challenges come, all right, push through. You can do it. It's the mindset of motivating yourself. Because a lot of times athletes hear the crowd and hear the cheers and hear the, yeah, you got this, boom, 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 rah, 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 that outside motivation. But when it's silent and no one is cheering for you, do you have that internal motivation? Do you have that dog in you, as a lot of people like to say, that's going to push you forward so that you can stay faithful to the plan you created for yourself?
So you mentioned have that dog in you. Again, I'm grabbing on a bone. Mm-hmm. There's some athletes, they're very successful on the field, mm-hmm. right? Collegiate or professional, or even high school. Mm-hmm. And they hear the roar of the crowd and all that. But then when they don't hear it anymore, they tend to look for non-healthy things to build them up. Mm-hmm. Can you speak about you and your team helping them stay away from those type of things? Because the smart ones will come to you and say, listen, I just got out a plan, just finished playing professional sports or collegiate sports or whatever. I don't know what to do. Mm-hmm. Those are the smart ones, in my opinion. But they don't. But then they don't want to. Do you warn them about external factors that may keep them from being faithful to their plan?
So, when an athlete or a former athlete comes and sits down with myself or one of my team members, we talk about, okay, where are you? What type of transition are you making? Is it voluntary? Is it involuntary? Because there are different transitions.
Does it matter?
Yes, it does.
Why?
It does. Because it affects the just thought process of, oh, I'm forced to make this transition, now I'm here. Or, no, I'm making this transition and I'm prepared for it, but I need the resources and to come up with a game plan. So it does matter the purpose or the reasoning that preempted the transition. So understanding the type of transition. Then we're going to get to the root of, all right, do you have a plan in place? All right, let's work on the plan. And then when it comes to what will prevent you from executing this plan? What
and
external
that's what I'm
factors?
talking about.
Mm-hmm. So are your external factors people? Are your external factors resources? Are your external factors? What are the external factors that will prevent you from seeing this plan all the way through? Who's in your life that's going to support this plan? Who's in your life that's going to try to deter you from this plan? Because there are detractors. Sometimes you need to let go of people because you've evolved, right, away from those people, or you've transitioned away from those people, or you're transitioning and you understand that they're at a different place mentally, spiritually, or physically than you are in that moment. And so helping them understand, okay, how do you have those conversations? How do you assess the relationships and friendships in your life? And how do you then move forward with or without them?
And that's another reason why I asked that question, because you mentioned someone who is on their road to evolving or transitioning. And they're hearing these outside voices tell them, oh, what you've done so far is great, it's fantastic. But you know, and they should know by speaking with you and your team, that they have not reached their goal. They haven't even gone halfway, and sometimes a quarter. So how do you coach someone to let someone who's so close to them push them out of their life? How do you encourage them to say, this person's not healthy for you at this time?
So it's not necessarily pushing people out of your life, right? It could be just setting up a boundary with that person, right? So sometimes with our goals, sometimes you don't need to speak them out loud and share them with everyone. Sometimes you do, because you need that motivation. So assessing who are these people and what are you sharing with them and why are you sharing it? And once you share it, how are they responding to what you're sharing? Are they encouraging you to continue forward? Or are they telling you, oh, that's good enough, just stop, because they don't want you to surpass them? Or they're like, oh, okay, I can catch up to them right there. Like, yeah, if they stop right there, oh, I can go past them. There's different things and reasons people are motivated to be in someone's life. They have to assess and understand what their motivation is for them being in their lives and for them allowing them access to their lives, to their goals, to their plans, and to have that impact to sway them one way or another.
It's interesting. In my book, Broman's Handbook, I have a chapter that talks about managing the people who manage you. And I discuss other parts of the book, who you should leave in the hood, to be frank.
Okay.
Not everybody can come along for the journey. Everybody has friends, even in professional life or even just blue-collar life. You have friends that you've grown up with. This person don't need to be around my job, don't need to be around my family, don't need to be around my other friends, because they're toxic in every form and fashion.
Okay.
And that's why I asked that question. Like, some athletes, everybody know that friend is off the chain. He don't need to be nowhere around your business.
Okay.
How do you tell someone, because like you said, you have to, it sounds like you're saying you have to have a strong support system.
Of course.
But they're hearing these negative, that seem positive words of encouragement, but that athlete knows that this person just, trying to...
Backhanded compliments, things like that.
Yeah, just to have access to you or your money or resources.
So it's not up for myself or my team to say, oh, you need to cut Tommy off because da-da-da-da-da. That's not how it operates. I mean, that was the first name that came to mind.
I mean, Martin. Martin.
So it's not necessarily that. That's not the approach that we take. It's, okay, let's talk about where you're going and what you're trying to do, and let's evaluate a full, complete look around of who's around you. Are they going? How will they behave in these spaces? How will you behave around them? And then you deciding, you making the decision, you having those conversations. Can we coach you and prepare you for those conversations? Absolutely. But are we going to say, you need to eliminate this person, this person, this person, this? No, because that's not our place. It's your life to live.
Yeah.
We're guiding you and helping you form a plan and helping you see the team and the teammates that are around you that will help support you.
That's interesting. You mentioned the word team, the team around you to support you. That's a great analogy.
Thank you.
I like that. And so you have loosened the bone out of my mouth because because when you have that team that supports you, you're transitioning with that same concept. So you have transitioned into another team. And because you have transitioned to another team, using the same sports analogy, you have evolved. See, it didn't take me long to...
And as I said, I'm
To
not
get
the
there.
instant gratification person. I'm gonna be on the journey and guide you along the way. You're gonna come to your own conclusion.
Did I come to my own conclusion, or was I led in a very patient manner?
You came to your own conclusion. The words came out of your mouth, not mine.
But I was guided by a professional transition coach
You were supported along your journey.
because you're part of my team.
Exactly.
That's good. Now, let's talk about, you said, excuse me, choosing a direction in your book. You said choosing direction requires self-reflection, honesty, and discipline. Let's talk about each one of those.
Self-reflection. So self-reflection is hard to do when there are a lot of people around, or you're constantly scrolling on social media, or you're constantly doing something. Da, 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 da. Self-reflection requires some quiet time. It could be journaling. It could be making the notes on your phone. It could be just
Journaling, what? Just
so like paper and pen journaling. There's journal pages in there that you can write in the book itself. It could be
what if I just want
taking
to
notes
journal
on your
like,
phone.
I'm being funny but kind of serious. Journaling like A, B, C, D, or 1, 2, 3, or what is there something that they should specifically be journaling?
So it's a variety. So people self-reflect in different ways.
Okay.
Excuse me. So it could be something that we've used a tool or a resource to show you how to journal, or it could be you just instinctively like, okay, this is what's on my mind. Let me get these thoughts out because they're just swirling in my head. And when we just have the swirling thoughts plus the constant noise and scrolling on social media, that's not helping you progress forward. So it's like, all right, shut everything off. What thoughts are you left with in your mind? And some of those thoughts are scary. Some of those thoughts are loud. Some of them are whispers. But getting them out of your mind, whether you're typing them on your phone, iPad, writing them out, whatever, get them out of your head. Put them on something.
What would be a scary thought? Because that,
I can't do it.
oh,
I'm not
okay.
good enough.
Oh, that is scary. That's, wow.
I don't think I'm capable.
So how do you get an athlete to realize that they are capable? Just doing the exercises, or
It's a combination of things, right? So it depends on the individual themselves.
because that's powerful what you just said.
Right.
That's a huge roadblock,
to
mental
have
roadblock.
honesty and openness enough to say, I feel like I am not capable. It takes a lot to admit that. I feel like I am missing X, Y, and Z. That can be frightening. And that fear can paralyze some people and keep them from moving and allow them to be stuck.
That's powerful. That's thought provoking. Because that applies to non-athletes too. But more so athletes, because going back to your team analogy, they move from a team to another team, and they just have to have the right team members. So you and your team will obviously be a major part of their team outside of sports. Who else would you suggest should be a part of their team?
Yeah, so it could be friends and family. It could be a romantic partner. It could be old teammates. It could be former coaches. It could be a variety of people. It could be, if they are spiritual or religious, could be someone from their spiritual community. It could be a variety of things depending on what environment they come from already. Because every athlete does not come from the hood to the fields. That's not everyone's reality. That is some of their realities, but that's not everyone's reality. And I work with athletes from all different demographic backgrounds, all different nationalities, all the different things. So what is your reality? And starting there and seeing, okay, who's on your team? Are you in a relationship, a romantic relationship? Do you have friends? Do you have family members? Do you have older siblings, younger siblings? Do you have cousins, aunties, uncles? Like, who's around you? Who's your family? Do you have children? Do you not have children?
So what is the commonality or the psychological profile of those individuals you suggested should be part of their team? There's a wide range of people that you identified.
So I wouldn't
Or
say
character
that
trait.
there's I'll go with character traits. I wouldn't say there's a psychological profile, but character traits are loving, supporting, encouraging, challenging, willing to speak truth to them. Because A lot of athletes have been around yes people. Yes, 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 yes.
That's a
Who's
good
going to
thing,
tell
right?
you no?
Isn't that a good thing?
No.
Everybody wants to be told they're right all the time.
They want to be told, but is that what you need?
Yeah.
What you want and what you need don't always align.
I don't know. I think I like it at least for 6 months
It's an
to be
ego
right all the
boost.
time.
It makes your ego feel good. Oh, yeah, they said yes, 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 yes. Oh, do I look good in this? Yes, 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 yes. Oh, am I doing that? Yes, yes, yes. No, sometimes it's no, take that off.
But isn't it good to be told that you're like the greatest when you're going through a rough patch mentally?
Is it good to be told you're the greatest when you're going through a rough patch?
Yeah, that you know, yeah.
But are you in your greatest state when you're going through a rough patch?
That's a good question. And your answer is? To your client?
So, if
That's a very good
someone's
question.
in the middle of a rough patch,
Yeah.
they're not in their best state of mind, may not be in their best shape physically, spiritually, or mentally. So it's like, okay, let's remind you who you are, right? And who you are can be great. But the mentality right now is hindering you from being great.
Now, when you were saying like some athletes are afraid to share, right? So they're not going to tell their support system, I'm going through a rough patch.
Exactly.
But them getting positive feedback or encouragement from the yes people around them, it makes them feel good and uplifts their spirit.
But is it temporary or is it lasting? Is it that instant gratification? Ooh, I feel good because they said yes. Or is it that, okay, they told me no, but now I had to sit on that no. It didn't feel uncomfortable. Why didn't that feel comfortable? Dang, why'd they say no? Oh, you know what? I was tripping. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have done that. Oh, I had to reflect on that.
But I will, if I'm going through a rough patch and not sharing with my support system, to me it's like, well, it'll be good until I think I'm over that hump.
But your support system, right? The people who are your core support system, we're not talking associates. We're not talking fans and friends by association. We're talking your support system should be able to look at you and know you're struggling right now. And you may not be ready to say it or admit it, but I know you're struggling because I know you.
So what if mama, grandmama, daddy, uncle, you know, people who supposed to love you by blood, are the ones who are not telling you what you should be told?
Then you need to look at other members of your team or figure out who you can confide in and say, hey. And it may not be telling the entire 5-person roster of your team. It may be telling one person, hey, I don't feel comfortable telling mom and dad, but I'm going to tell you because you're my older sibling. You're my big brother, my big sister. This is what I'm going through right now. You know, I don't feel comfortable telling my family, but you're my closest friend. You're my significant other, whatever it may be. There has to be one person on your team that you're comfortable being vulnerable with.
You know, I've come across people, and maybe you have too, excuse me, they said they don't have nobody.
Exactly.
They can't trust anybody.
I've heard that a lot.
But it's not true.
That's why you have to then evaluate your team. Why do you have no one around you who is speaking truth, speaking life, speaking into you, or allowing you to be vulnerable in your ugliest, least prettiest state and being honest in your truth? That's what you have to figure out. Because you pick the people that you invited into your life. Yeah, you have blood family, but you also have chosen family.
You bring up an interesting point. My last guest, Merlin Osborne, she was the guest on the episode entitled The Road to Healing. She said, energy attracts energy. And she gave this example, and it makes perfect sense. She said, if you have someone who stealing office supplies, that's stealing. And this person, you know, somehow get into a relationship with a bank robber. Still, that was my reaction too. Stealing is stealing. You know, he or she attracted that same energy. It's on a different level. And so, with that said, so I guess the people that they're putting around them has the same type of energy they do. How does an athlete, former athlete, realize I have this particular energy? Because I know I have a particular energy. I keep attracting certain type of energy in my life. I won't say what aspect of it.
That could be part of that self-reflection part, right? So during self-reflection, you're realizing like, oh, I don't feel comfortable with anyone that's around me. And it feels like they all have the same type of energy that I keep attracting.
Well, you don't know that. You can't identify that because it's like you share the same energy that you...
That's what I'm saying. You have to take that pause to self-reflect and then realize like, oh, you just realize you're attracting the same type of energy. You don't like it clearly, but you haven't figured out how to get past it. I know that he doesn't like it just from picking up on your cues, but you haven't figured out how to get past it yet. Yeah. It takes time.
Okay, I would tell you this. You're very good.
Thank you.
So put me down for Tuesday at 9. A buddy of mine, his wife, I didn't know. To be totally honest, and you, as good as you are, will pick up on someone like me. She told me this about 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, and I'm still trying to figure out. Like, she said, Alan, you're attracting the same type of energy. I still don't know what energy I'm putting out there that's attracting the same type of energy. I don't like it. I've been trying to figure out what it is.
But have you been honest with yourself to really evaluate, okay? Because I'm not sure, and your audience, I don't know. So I'm not sure what area of your life you're referring to. I have assumptions, but I'm not sure. But,
I'll tell you off camera.
And that's fine. So I have assumptions. But it's like, okay, in that area of your life, have you been completely honest with yourself, with your fears, with your desires, with where you are and how you're presenting in that area of your life, and how you're presenting just in general? Because there's one thing of how we want to be perceived, and there's another thing of how we are perceived.
Okay, elaborate more on that. That's good.
So we may want to be perceived as X, Y, and Z, like put together, ready to go, boom, 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 boom. But there are people that have heightened awareness and pay attention to small things that may be perceiving you on a completely different level or a completely different way. And they may be some of those people that you're attracting because they can perceive things that you're not saying. It's like, okay, I know how to work this because, all right, this is what they're showing. All right, got it.
No, it's the same. It's the same type of energy. It's like it's not necessarily being exploited or taken advantage of. It's the same type of energy, and the same type of energy. Like two bank robbers should not be together. Now, two thieves should not be together. No matter what scale, stealing office supplies or robbing banks, that's just not a good combination.
Okay.
So I'm still trying to figure out like that energy. So how do you help someone? You said first you have to have self-reflection. Mm-hmm. Then you mentioned honesty just now. Mm-hmm. Being honest with yourself.
So the person who is stealing the office supplies has to ask themselves, do I want to continue to steal? Do I want to steal more? And their answer may be, yes, I do. That's why they hooked up with the bank robber, so they can learn how to steal more. Or, you know what? I really don't want to do this. So this person's going to take me down a route that I can't recover from, or that we can't recover from. But it's going to take me longer to recover from than if I just say, you know what? You're going in a path that I no longer want to go down, and make that choice to turn away.
Yeah. Now, the third part, choosing direction, first is self-reflection. Mm-hmm. Second is honesty. You mentioned discipline. Mm-hmm. Talk about discipline.
All right. So we're going to use your office supply stealing analogy.
That's Marilyn Osborne. Give her credit.
So, all right. You were stealing office supplies. You met this bank robber. You decided, all right, I don't want to go down the route with the bank robber because then I can keep going and keep going. All right. So instead of stealing 5 things this week, you're stealing 2. All right. Instead of stealing 2 things next week, you're stealing 1. Then you're stealing none. Oh. Okay, you know what? That wasn't so bad. I could actually go buy that thing. I could actually, go rent that thing, whatever it may be. It's a process.
Okay.
And it takes time. It's not just cold turkey, boom, it works. Some people are that disciplined. Some people are not.
So clearly, I'm not very disciplined.
I'm not
after
saying
10 or 15 years. So you mentioned truth. Mm-hmm. You have to be true to yourself. What? Explain that in more detail.
It's easy to lie to ourselves. It's easy to get wrapped up in the hype. Because for someone who isn't you, your life may look amazing. For someone who isn't you, they don't see your struggles. They don't see, and I'm saying you in the hypothetical sense, they don't see your struggles. They don't see your fears. They don't see things you've overcome or challenges you've gone through to get to where you are. They just see what you present. Oh, man, that looks great. Oh, social media, I see all these pictures. It looks great. These videos, it looks great. But you know your truth. You know the desires of your heart. You know your fears. You know what you struggle with. You know the battles that other people don't even know you're fighting. So you have to be truthful in yourself and like, okay, do I want to continue to fight these battles? Do I need help fighting these battles? Is my desire realistic? Is my desire self-serving? Is my desire to help others and I need to actually do it, but I'm stopping because I'm thinking, oh, what will people say if I stop and give someone the clothes off my back, whatever it may be. So you have to be truthful with who are you? What do you value? Get out of the hype of, oh, everyone says I'm great, da-da-da-da. Who are you? What is your truth? What are you working on? Where do you want to transition to? Where are you trying to evolve? Where are you?
That's good. And maybe I just need to be true to myself.
Maybe. Again, I'm not sure
We'll
which
talk
area
about
you're
that
talking
Tuesday
about,
at 9.
Maybe.
So you mentioned the law of attraction. Well, you said your ability to accomplish transition. You wrote in a book. It includes the law of attraction and positive thinking. Mm-hmm. Why law of attraction?
So there are universal laws, right? Like if you sow a seed, if you plant a seed, then you expect that to grow, right? I can't plant a seed for an apple tree and expect a rock to show up. So when you are thinking of, okay, what do I want to attract into my life? I want to attract positivity, love, hope, peace, these types of things. I can't be out here bad-mouthing and pouring hate and spewing hate because that's just going to attract other people who are like, yeah, I hate that too, and da-da-da, and you're going to just get more hate. But if you're pouring the things out that you want, then eventually those things are going to attract those other things. It's just simple law of attraction.
So that's the key to transitioning.
It's a part of it. There's not one, this one key is that's it. It's a part of it. Again, it's a journey. It's a process. How you're thinking, how you're retraining your mind. I know I met with this person, but I don't think I can do it. I know they told me to do this, but I'm not going to do it. That's a little scary. I'm not going to do it. That negative thinking of, I'm not capable. I'm not. The self-talk, we're our biggest critics. That's shrinking you down versus like, you know what? They said I could. I've never done that before. Let me give it a try. Okay. Oh, that kind of worked. Let me see what else they say. Okay, let me try that. That didn't work, but I'm open to still, let's keep going. Let's keep going. Like, what you're telling yourself, what you're feeding yourself is important. Your mindset is important. Your self-talk is important. And having people around you who can affirm that is important. Versus like, I don't think you can do it either, bro. Just don't even try it.
Yeah.
Nope.
Well, this has been a very fascinating conversation topic. I learned that I need to put myself on Destiny's calendar once a week, maybe twice.
And you let go of your bone. Just saying.
The ball is gone. She convinced me, so she's good. What do you want to leave the listeners with? Because we talked extensively about your book, and we hadn't even scratched the surface of what's in this book. I implore you to purchase this book. It is very useful. As you can see, I got a lot out of it because I was able to ask her some very significant questions and made me do a self-assessment. And so I encourage you to purchase her book. She's going to give you where you can book an appointment or get in touch with her and her team. Destiny, why don't you go ahead and do that now?
Sure. So first, in regards to the book, you can Google the new game plan, and it'll be the first book that pops up, and it'll take you to barnesandnoble.com. So barnesandnoble.com is where the book is exclusively. If you would like to book an appointment with myself or other coaches on my team, you can go to transitiontowin.com. That is transition, TOWIN, transitiontowin.com. You can also reach out to us with the same handle on social media platforms, or you can email us at transitiontowin@gmail.com.
Thank you, Destiny, for agreeing to come on the show. Thank you for tuning in to Jump Into Life. I encourage you to go to my website, jumpingintolife.com. That's jumping, then the letter N and the number 2, jumpingintolife.com. There you will find links to resources for mental health. It's to the Boris L. Henson Foundation. They have great resources for mental health. You type in the zip code and it directs you to those resources. There's also a link to books that I've written. There you will find the link to Broman's Handbook. I talk about managing the people who manages you. Talk about how to deal with situations that you may find yourself in, and I also talk about how to manage your money and how to prepare for the league. Because trust me, the league is not your friend. Regardless of what league you're in, it's a business. Am I right?
It is a business. Sports is a business.
And Desi can help you navigate that. And you may not be transitioning. Contact her before you transition. That way you're more prepared to deal with a lot of things that you may find yourself looking at if you don't go and seek her services.
Yeah, the proactive approach is always great. But if you're reactive, we're happy to help too.
And then if you're proactive, I will not call you a knucklehead.
Hey, that was another thing you wanted to do, was try to think of like not referring to them as knuckleheads. Hey, that's another step.
On that note, thank you again.
Thank you for having me.
And be sure to follow me, subscribe, and share the link to this episode and others. And I encourage you to listen to other episodes of this podcast. And thanks again for tuning in. Until next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.